Hi, my name is Tess Cahill. I'm the artist from Glowing Ends at the Art Center East in the main gallery, open until August 29th.
Hi Tess, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and how you started making art?
I've been drawing ever since I was a kid. My mom is an artist, so kind of just all through high school, I loved taking art classes and drawing just for fun, and I decided to do it in college too because that was just always made sense.
What's the story behind naming the show Glowing Ends, and how do you see it connecting all of the work upstairs together?
So the phrase glowing ends, well, for me, it came from a song. It's a lyric in a song by Ira Wolf called The Great Divide. And she uses it in a different context, but I like the phrase because when I started to think about glowing ends and I'm like driving around looking at all these lit up houses at night and stuff, it's all such a network, and I feel like all the lights are all the glowing ends of all the little parts of that network, and so I just felt like it fit really well.
Can you talk a little bit about how your experience has shaped your work thus far, both conceptually and technically?
Well, conceptually, idea and body of work has been building since my junior year of school when we were given an assignment to do a painting in the style of another artist, and I chose the artist Caroline Walker, who does a lot of paintings of windows from the outside at night, things that are lit from within, and I found that really fascinating. And technically, painting has always been sort of the thing that I felt like you do as a 2D fine artist. Drawing has always been my favorite though, and when I went to Sicily on a residency, I didn't want to carry around all the stuff that you need for painting, and so kind of out of necessity I picked up some soft pastels at an art store, and almost purely out of convenience, and then I started to have a lot of fun with it, and figuring out different ways I could blend things and combine colors and layer things on top and use like wax crayons or something, and I decided to keep playing with pastels, and it turned out really well. I really enjoyed it.
A lot of people liked it. They say they look like photographs, so it's pretty cool. Is that why you named it Image?
Yes, because I drive around the valley, and sometimes I'll just hit record on my phone and just like hold it out the side of the window, and
it just looks like blurry.
So that's why they're blurry, and and there were so many of them that I was like, I didn't know, the locations themselves weren't necessarily important, like specific places, and so I was thinking, how should I name it, like the street name or something, but also I feel like the anonymity is an important part of this whole concept and show, is like how these things are all connected, but like, so I didn't want to like name drop them because that felt too literal, and so I just decided to name them the actual image names that they are in my phone.
What's it been like building a body of work so quickly?
It's not necessarily a new experience. Like my capstone show felt like a similar timeline, putting together a show in less than a year. And I struggled for a little bit because I was like, okay, this is my first solo show. Like it should be something different or something really cool, and so it took me a while to actually decide to narrow it down and keep working with the same subject matter and same concepts that I kind of did in my senior show. Because I was like, I'm out of school, I want to do something different, but I'm like, this is still in my head, and I'm still, and there's still so much to be explored in it for me. So once I decided that I was like, I'm just gonna do this, it was still a little bit of a crunch, but it was really fun, and it was very rewarding, and it's been really nice to get all the feedback from the community and stuff.
What's your artistic process like, and how do you decide your visuals when starting a piece?
My process usually starts, for these kind of pieces especially, it always starts seeing something that catches my eye, shapes or forms or interesting contrasts or compositions. And I always try to take a picture of something that is visually interesting to me, because I feel like having something in reality to base it, even if I don't make something that's picture perfect, having the picture to base my work on really makes it more meaningful to me. This is kind of in my artist statement, but just to talk about why I choose these scenes and how I come upon them, kind of. I mean, besides that, visually I find them really interesting. I spend a lot of time awake at night because it feels solitary in a comforting way, in a nice way. There's not as much going on, so it just feels like mentally, emotionally, I feel a lot more invisible. So it's just, in general, the whole experience of nighttime for me is really comforting and relaxing and freeing. It kind of worked out well because I already sort of had a habit of driving around at night, because that felt like my time where I didn't have to worry about obligations to anything else, and I could just a little bit of a meditative practice in a way, just being alone and present with whatever I was feeling at the time. And so I see a lot of these scenes and landscapes through a kind of emotional lens, and I'm like, I don't know how specific and personal to get, but like if I'm feeling especially isolated or lonely or unsure and generally stressed and sad, I feel like for me that translates into seeing these and seeing these things that look so fascinating that I wish I could investigate further. I'm like, I want to see what's in there. Just from a purely formal and visual point of view, I want to investigate what the light is doing. And I don't know, it's like these places are so ubiquitous that it's like, I'm like, I'm curious, I want to see what's going on, how things work over there. And I think a lot of times my emotional state can be like, I'm sad and lonely, and I want to go, that light glowing place looks so nice and warm and comforting, and I want to be part of that. Yeah, maybe it's because they feel like a network, like all of these things, from a distance look like just little individual pinpoints, in a field of darkness, but they're all connected, and I think that's what gives me comfort. And there is a line in my artist statement that I really like that I'll say, which is that darkness unifies and gives new life to light. And I feel like that kind of describes why I love night so much.
Was making the chalk pastels, was that intentional to make it that small?
Yes, short answer. It was also kind of happenstance, and like, because I had these little booklets of, I don't know how handmade, like I bought it from an art store, but it's like handmade paper, 100% cotton, and it was these little, they're like deckled edges, and they're all a little bit different and wonky, and I had a lot of that. And so at first I was just like experimenting on that. I was like, how do chalk pastels work? And just using that paper because I had so much of it. And I was like, I actually feel like this is a great size. I feel like it's photograph size a little bit, and yeah, I like the smaller size because it forces people to kind of look at it a little bit closer and a little longer. I feel like the smaller scenes are a lot more intimate, and they kind of invite investigation, and that's the feeling I get when I see those places, and that I want to sort of communicate with those pieces. I feel like if they were big, it'd be a lot different of a vibe looking at a big piece like that. Like I have that big piece in there that I feel like that piece for me is like, whoa, look at all the intersections of like branches and this amazing network of like light
that all kind of connects down to like this.
Yeah, and to me that visual was really like whoa, like looking up at it, like this is so cool how it looks like that. So that's what I wanted to communicate with that piece. But the other ones are a lot more, the places and the lights are like what you see in the piece is as close as I ever got to those places. So there's also some distance there that I wanted to preserve in the pieces that came from the experience of viewing them from like, obviously like kind of a distance at first, but also like in my car and like passing by, and like probably will never go back, and probably I mean, yeah. I'll be back.
I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
Of I think everything except that red piece, I forgot the name of it, the building,
The taillights one?
yes,
Mm-hmm.
because it's close up, but that one's like way brighter than everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Can you talk a little bit about choosing the colors that you do, other than just like the process of technicality of it?
To talk about the technical part?
Is there like a reason like you like doing it specifically in the dark, for lack of better term?
Well, that also comes from I wonder if Susan knows that she's directly responsible for like all of this work I've made since her taking her class. But that also came from an assignment that she gave, an assignment about chromatic grays. And you were there. And I thought that was so fun and fascinating and cool, that you can, mix grays and like blacks, and as you know, she wouldn't give us black paint. I don't think she ever gave us black paint, even after the first painting class, and I felt like that was really the the thing that started it all was not having black paint and learning how to mix grays and blacks. And she called it living black, and I just think it looks so much more, the name suggests, it looks so much more alive and interesting, and it's also a lot more rewarding for viewers to I like work that rewards people who look closer and spend more time with the work. So I don't know how many people know that I don't use black paint ever. But I feel really excited when I get the feedback that's like I look closer and there's so many colors, like there's blues and reds, and I'm like, yay! But yeah, and I feel like it kind of works conceptually too, because I feel like that's how I feel about, the dark, or like nighttime or something, or conceptually just like darkness that surrounds a light is like there's so much. It's not just black, there's so much more going on there. I love that, and I enjoy it, and it is a technique. There it is. I was like, technical skill? Technique. It's something I enjoy, and it's a technique that works for what I'm doing, and it ties in conceptually, so I feel like it's just a perfect combination. The pastels are different. I tried not using black, and that does not work. But it's not just black. There is also a lot of like dark blue, green, and some dark red. Like I tried to make it as colorful of a black as possible, but you just can't get the same contrast without using black. So, but to me that also feels okay, because I don't know, I feel like the paintings are a little bit different. There's the photo reference is kind of removed from the equation when you're thinking about like visual to painting. It's kind of, I take the photo and then I make the painting. And with the pastels, I felt like I was making a pastel drawing of the photo rather than, I don't know, does that make sense? Like making a pastel drawing of the thing I was taking a picture of.
Right.
I was really trying to keep all the blurs and the lens flares and weird little reflections of the actual photo. And I feel like, maybe I'm just justifying using black, but like I feel like using black works with that, because it's like a digital translation of the thing I saw. So
yeah. What would you say to someone who wants to start making art in a gallery setting?
For me, it's drawing. It's like the easiest and most accessible, having a sketchbook. But just drawing or sketching, however, noticing things that are visually intriguing is always the first step for me to start working, because I feel like that's always the hardest part, is like, what do I draw? And then not to worry about what it means or what the idea is going to be for like the first chunk of it. I feel like at least for me, that's way too much, and it'll really congest the whole process, and I'll end up not making as much work, and then just thinking about what I should make when I could have been making work and observing what I'm making. And that was another thing that I feel like Corey and Nate, that was some really good advice that they gave, was to like make the art and learn from the art that you make, and not try to decode it before it even exists. So just to make work and notice patterns and what you're seeing and what you're drawn to, and then to like don't be afraid to get like too specific. I feel like sometimes I'm like, people are like this, but I'm like, this is my first solo show, but this is just some thinking that has helped me, and that really makes sense to me, is to like not try to do too much with one show. Like, it's, you know, at the end of the day, it's one body of work, and I had to tell myself that a lot going into this. I was like, this is one show, it's one body of work, and that's kind of what kind of rerouted me into like, okay, you have this kind of gold mine of like visuals and ideas that, you know, I started looking at in school and that I still find interesting. So it's like, even though I've worked with it before, like there's still more that I feel like I can explore with that. So I should, and like I'm going to. Like yeah, and I feel like I was really overwhelmed trying to think about all the things I could make a show about, or how to be like, oh, well, I don't want to, you know, I don't want to make a bunch of paintings again, and I don't want to just be a painter. And it's like, just, you know, just make a body of work. Yeah.
That's awesome.
You can see my solo exhibit, Glowing Ends, now through August 29th, 2026, in the main gallery at Art Center East.